Hello everyone and welcome back to Codebase channel. Here we teach you about web development skills and other tech related skills. And in this class we're going to talk about the CSS Combinators, Pseudo-Class and Pseudo-Elements. Before we start the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, if you have any web development project or UI UX project or graphic design project that you have that you need to do, you can call us and we can help you get it done. So without further ado, let's get on with today's topic. Okay, in the last class we did this our little CSS practical whereby we started up our site to look like this. We did a simple web page design, and in this class we're going to touch something different. Alright, we're going to talk. So what I want you guys to do now is go and create a new file, a new HTML file, and in your CSS folder create a new CSS file. Mine is here, main.html, and in the CSS folder I created a new CSS file called main.css. So if you do that, quickly type this here. Okay, put your HTML boilerplate, link your CSS file. I believe you guys can do it by now. I've shown you how to do it. Then type this little thing that is here. We're going to talk about the CSS combinators first. Then in your CSS file, remove the margin and padding, the default thing, the basic thing you need to do. So do this bare basics quickly. I'll give you guys a second and then we'll continue. Alright. So now we're going to touch the CSS combinators, and these combinators are basically selectors. Now, earlier in the CSS course, I taught you guys about the CSS selectors. That is the basic CSS selectors, which are the element selector, the class selector, and the ID selector. Okay. Then during the practical, I introduced the child selector. Alright, I will still talk about everything and I will still explain everything still. I will still illustrate everything still. So no need for, you can go back to the previous videos to check, or you can just follow on with the course. So in this video, we are going to show combinators which can help us also select multiple elements or select elements based on their position as well. So let's go and touch that quickly. Now, in this place, we have a text. We have a div class of text, and inside this div class, we have two p tags. Then after this div tag, we have two other p tags. Now, as you know, if I want to style up this particular p tag that is here, you can see I didn't give it any class. If I want to target only this particular p tag and style it up, if I come to my CSS and use the element selector like so, I say p and I give it maybe color red, font size 24 pixels. Let's say padding, no padding should be 20 pixels. Okay, let's now this is an element selector. Okay, this is an element selector, and what will happen when I use this to target my p tag is this. Let me go live here. Sorry, open the live server. What will happen when I target my p tag with this is, as you can see, it affected all the p tags that are there. It didn't just affect only this particular one that is here, it affected all of them. Okay, all the p tags became red in color. Why? Because what I used was the element selector, and the element selector will target wherever the element appears. So this is where the combinator selectors come into play. I don't want to give this p tag a class name, okay, but I want to target just this p tag in particular. This is where our combinator selector comes into play now. So the first combinator selector we are going to use is the plus sign. Let's ignore this. So let's talk about the combinators, the CSS combinators. Sorry. So this p tag, as you can see, is an adjacent p tag. Why? It comes immediately after this div tag that is here. So what I want to do is I want to target only this p tag that comes immediately after this div tag here. So what I'll use is this. I'll come down here and say, let me comment this out. Sorry. I'll come down here and I'll say div dot text plus p. Now this plus sign is the adjacent selector. What it does is it targets the next tag after your tag. So it's going to target the next tag after this text tag, which is the p tag. And if I come here and I copy these features and I apply it to this, and I come back to my browser, you can see only the number 3 paragraph is color red with what? A font size of 24 pixels. And that is the work of this adjacent selector. That is just this one that is here, the number 3p tag. That is the work of the adjacent selector. It will target the tag that comes immediately after the previous tag. That is this one here. So you can see it didn't target this number 4. It only targeted this number 3 because this p tag comes immediately after this div tag. Okay, that is the adjacent selector. Let me put a comment here for you guys to Okay, I believe that's okay. Now the next one we're going to touch is the child selector and the descendant selector. Okay, let's touch the descendant selector first. Now we're going to touch the descendant selectors. Okay, so to target the descendant selector, let us say I want to target these two p tags that are inside this div tag only. I want to target these two p tags that are inside this div tag only. I will now use the descendant selector. And the descendant, to use the descendant selector, all you have to do is say dot text space p dot text space p. That is all. Once you put the space, it now becomes the what? The descendant selector. So you can see the illustration here in the VS Code stuff. And if I come, let's put this same feature here, but I'll give it a different color. Maybe I'll give the color should be green. And let's come back to the browser. And you can see only the first two p tags are what's green in color. Why? Because we said, okay, let's target the two p tags that are inside this tag that are the descendants of this class of text that is here. That is simply what we did. And only these first two, the number one and number two p tag is what? Green and big in color. So let's use this one here. Let me put a comment here. Descendants. Okay. Now, after the descendant selector, we now have the child selector. And during the CSS practical, I introduced the child selector to you guys. Alright, so the child selector, how do you make use of it? You just say dot text greater than p. I'm going to temporarily comment these ones out because it's do almost the same thing. So just please pardon me for this. Let's just temporarily comment this out. Okay, let me just move this here and move this guy here. Move this one. That should be okay. Alright, cool. The reason why I had to comment this out is because this descendant selector and this child selector might do the same thing. They don't work the same way, but they might do the same thing. So I'm going to say the text p. I'm going to paste this here, and I'm going to give this color blue. So the text greater than p. This one is now known as the child selector. So remember what I said now. This is a descendant selector. When you put a space in between the name of the one selector and another, it serves as the space serves as a descendant selector. It targets the descendants of the parent element. While this greater than sign here serves as a child selector. It targets the direct child of the parent element. And if you come back here, this is what you get. You see that the first two is the same thing here. Okay, we targeted the p tag that is inside what? The div tag. That is these first two p tags that are here. Oh, sorry, I mistakenly closed my HTML. Sorry about that. Alright, cool. We're back on track. That is these first two p tags that are here. That is all. So you can see that the CSS combinators are pretty simple. It's not that hard. Okay, this is the adjacent selector. It selects the next element after this element here, after this selector here. So you target once you bring the previous selector, then you target the next element that comes immediately after it. The descendant selector is used to target the elements that exist inside the parent element, the same as a child selector. The only difference is that one uses space and one uses the greater than sign. But I will not lie to you, I actually prefer this one. Although this one also has its uses, so and we are going to make use of it as we carry on in the course. We are going to see where this one is applicable and where this one is not going to be applicable. Alright. So let's touch the general sibling selector. There's another one called the general sibling selector, and that is this. So what I'm just going to say is, now if you remember correctly, when we use the adjacent selector, it only targeted this first p tag, that is this number 3 p tag that is here. That is this guy that comes immediately after the div tag, but it didn't target this one in particular. Okay, so if you want to target the two of them, we are going to make use of the general sibling selector. And what the general sibling selector is going to do, that is going to target the subsequent tags that come immediately after the previous element. It's going to target the subsequent element that comes immediately after the previous element. So let's go and target it. So here I'll just say dot text this and p. Then we are going to see what is it? Oh, yeah, just paste this thing. I forgot about that. And let's give the color orange this time. Yeah, orange. And if I come to the browser, hold on, put the comments there for you guys to see. And I'll see this is used as the general sibling selector. Sibling selector. Okay, so let's go and check it out in the browser. And yes, you can see the number 3 and number 4 tags became what's orange. Now, if you're wondering why this one here became orange as well, this number 3 became orange, even though we've targeted it what's up here, is because the CSS will take only the most recent declaration, and this is the most recent declaration there. Therefore, this one surpasses this one. Okay, CSS makes use of your what? Most recent declaration. That is this one you've declared here. And that is all. So that is all of the CSS combinators. You can see it's very short, very simple. It's not too complex. Adjacent selector targets the element that comes immediately after the previous element. The child descendant selector targets the elements that exist inside the parent element. The child selector does the same thing, targets the element that exists inside the parent element. But like I said, these two, even though they almost perform the same thing, they are different. There are situations where this is applicable and this one is not applicable, and we are going to make use of it as we carry on with the course. While this one is the general sibling selector, which targets the subsequent elements that comes immediately after the previous element. That is all. Okay, so the next topic we're going to touch now is the CSS pseudo class. So let's come down here. I'm going to leave this one here. I'm going to talk about the CSS pseudo class in video. Now, what does the CSS pseudo class does? The CSS pseudo class is used to change or is used to affect an element when it's in a certain state. It's used to affect an element when it is in a certain state. What does it mean? That means when like an event occurs on the element, then you use the CSS pseudo class to affect it, to change its appearance or to alter its color or whatever you want to do. So to do that, let's create a simple tag. I'm going to create a simple A tag. I'm going to use an A tag. I'm going to say href is equals to hashtag. We don't need any link for this. Then I'm going to give it a class. I'm going to give it a class of let's give it a class of link. That started. And this link I'm going to just put okay, let's just say lorem 2, lorem 3. Oh, not 33, sorry, lorem 3. That is all. Then I'm going to create another A tag. I'm going to say href is equals to hashtag, and I'm not going to put any class there. I'm going to say lorem 2. Then for the last one, I'm going to put a simple input tag. I'm going to give it type is equals to text. I'm going to say placeholder. I'm sure you guys have done this in HTML before. So placeholder is going to be text here, and I'm going to give it an ID, and the ID is going to be use. I don't know. Okay, let's just put text field. That is all. So we're going to use this to apply out to affect our pseudo class. So let's go and start this up generally, right? Let's see how it appears in our browser. Yeah, pretty basic. Let me put a BL tag here, sorry, a break line tag. Yeah, so this is what we have. That's okay. And we're going to start it up right about now. Let's put another BL tag here. Alright, this is okay now. So it's each of them on their own line so that we can see the effects properly. Good. So let's go and start it up now with the CSS. So I'm going to just come here and say dot link should have this. Good. I'm going to remove the underline using the text decoration property. I showed you guys the text decoration in the previous CSS video, so you can go and check it out. None. Then last but not least, we're going to target the second guy. And this second guy, I didn't give it a class name, so let's make use of this our combinators and our CSS combinators here. So I'm going to use the adjacent selector. I'm just going to say dot link plus a. Paste the same thing here, but make the color instead of red, we're going to make it green, then V, and we're going to give you the same text decoration. none. That should be good. Oh, hold on. This should be green. Link plus A, right? Yeah, link plus A. You have tag after it. Ooh, sorry. Let's do this one. Let me see. Link plus no, let's take USB tag out. Okay, that should do it now. Yeah, better. So we can see it now. Okay, where was I? Yeah, so we start up these two links and let us start up this input field for the last effect. Let's start up the input field. Now, normally we are not supposed to use this input field to enter the CSS forms, but you know, why not? It's just to show you guys this thing. It's just to show you guys the pseudo class effects. So let's just make it of it for now. And I'm going to come here and say hashtag. Now remember, this is our input field. I didn't give it a class, but I gave it an ID. So let's target the ID of text field. And when you want to target the ID, you make use of the hash character followed by the name of the ID, which is what? Text underscore field. Then we're going to start it up. We're going to give it a width. So we're going to say width should be 200 pixels. Height auto. That is automatic height. Automatically adjust the height. Padding. All-round padding should be 12 pixels top and bottom by 18 pixels left and right. Pixels left and right. Then font size inside the input field should be 24 pixels. We want it to be big. Color of the font should be hashtag C3C3C3. I want it to be ash color, but a little darker. This is too light. A darker ash. Okay, this is better. Okay, so I believe you should give me a big box here. Good. I like this big box. I like the big box. And last but not least, we give a margin or a margin left. I'm going to say 20 pixels. We want it to be a big distance from the edge right here. So this is good for me. This is good enough for me. Okay, let's say margin. Let's just say margin around. Margin left top should be 20 pixels at the top, and bottom and 30 pixels left and right. Alright, better. So we can see our text properly. Okay, now let's apply our pseudo classes to it. Now remember, pseudo classes used to affect our elements when they are in a certain state, and you can only apply pseudo class inside the CSS, not inside the HTML. Now, a certain state can be when we click on the link or when we just put our cursor over this link here. When we put our cursor over this link, that means this our text, this our element here, our A tag is in a certain state of its own. Why? Because the cursor, this cursor here is currently touching it. The same can be said for this input field. When you click on it, you want it to be in a certain state. Something should happen when you click on it. So let's try some of that out now. So if we come and see pseudo class, let's target this first link here. So one of the pseudo classes we target is the hover pseudo class. So what's going to happen is I'll say to apply a pseudo class, you have to call out the name of a selector first, dot link, followed by a column. After this column, you put your pseudo class hover. Now, what is the pseudo class? This hover pseudo class, what it does is that it affects your elements when. So, what this hover means is simply when the cursor, your cursor touches this element, what should happen? Okay. This hover is a state whereby our cursor touches the what element in the web page. So hover, then I'll say the color should turn from red to yellow. Okay, let's not use yellow, let's use purple. Come back here. And now whenever my cursor touches this red one, what do you see? It becomes purple. No? And why is it changing? Because my mouse is currently touching the element. So this is a hover state. When your cursor hovers on top the element or touches it, it changes its color. That is the first CSS pseudo class here, hover. So like I said, the hover affects an element when the cursor touches it. Now what I mean by touch is that you don't even have to click on the element. As soon as your cursor touches the element or comes into contact with your browser, it immediately applies the hover effect. So let's put a hover here. So that's the hover pseudo class. Okay, that is the hover pseudo class. We can also use it here as well. Let's give this a tag its own. So we can say dot link. Another one we can use dot link plus a column visited. Now this one is when you actually click on the link and go to the web page. Let the color change. So we say let the color change from the A tag here is green. Let's say change from green to, I don't know, navy blue, pink. And like I said, I don't know. Let's just use something random. Okay. And if you come back to your browser here, what do you get? Nothing is happening yet. But once I click on this link, it has changed to pink. Can you see it? That's because this has now, the status of this element has changed to visited. This is a link, and by clicking on it, I have changed the status from what? From unvisited to visited. That is, if you want to know if the link is visited, if you look up here, you can see that after this my main.html, the hashtag appears, which is the link that is here. This is what I used here in this link, hashtag. Okay, so if you want to notice more about this thing, if you go online and search for something on Google, let us say you go online with your system and you search for something on Google, you notice that when you click on any of those links that appear on Google, their color will instantly change once you've clicked on it and visited the site. Okay, this is where something like this comes into play. It's actually pretty simple, as you can see. Just give it a visited. That means once you've visited that particular link, you've gone to that site, that link in your browser will change color or something else. You can give it whatever you want to give it. So that is the pseudo class of visited. So let me jot it down there for you guys and say but this pseudo class of what visited mostly works for links. Guys, all these anchor tags mostly works for anchor tag, because you can't simply to click on a normal text and give it visited. The text doesn't have a link, it's not going anywhere. Okay, so visited affects an element when the cursor, when the user has visited the link. Now we're going to do for this text field as well. So we've done hover, we've done visited. Now we're going to do for this our text field that is here. So let's say I want the status to, I want the color of this thing to change whenever I click on this text field. So let's use another pseudo class called focus. So I'll say hashtag text underscore field, then focus. Okay, hashtag text underscore field, then focus. Okay, now let's carry on. So with this, I'll come and say, okay, when we click on this our text field, now focus is when you actually just click on it. Now you're not really visiting any site, you're just clicking on it, and it mostly works for inputs for form elements. This focus pseudo class here mostly works for form elements. That is input fields, radius, checkboxes, and all those. Okay, so let's try something here. We'll say, okay, when you do this thing, let's give it, let me give it one last color. I'll say background color should be hashtag 000. That's black, but I don't want it to be black actually. I want it to be dark gray. Alright, so this is how it should look like now. Yes, this is okay. Okay, let's make the color white. Let's come here and make the color hashtag F. Alright, this should be okay. Yes. So let's reverse the status. Alright. So we're now going to do it on focus. Let the background color change to cream. I don't think there's any color called cream. Alright, let's change it to light salmon. That's okay. And we'll change the color of the text to dark brown, maybe dark brown. Yep, I'll just say brown. And we're going to come here, change the, and come down here. Okay, that's all. Now let's check it out, shall we? Now if I click on this text, I see it has changed. This is it now. This input field is in a focus state. And remember, the pseudo classes affect an element when they are in a certain state. Alright? Hover is a state whereby your cursor is touching the element. Visited is the state whereby you've clicked on the link and it has gone to the site. Focus is the state whereby you have clicked on that particular input field and you want to work on it. So the user is actually focusing on it at that moment. So that's what pseudo classes does. It affects the elements when they are in a certain state, and there are several of them. You can go and check out materials on places like W3 Schools or freecodecamp.com or freecodeacademy.com. There are several of them. You can see them there. Okay. Now let us touch the CSS elements, the CSS pseudo elements. Let us touch the CSS pseudo elements. That is the next thing we're going to touch here. So let's come down here and let's go down to it. I'm going to touch the. Wait, did I explain the focus state in the CSS? Sorry, I didn't explain the focus state. Sorry. So I'll use this. I don't use focused. Let me see if it clicks on it. Then I'll put a NB. So you guys will take note of this. I don't use focus. I don't see when the user is focused on it by using focus. That sounds somehow. Okay, for the last part we're going to touch the CSS pseudo elements, which is the last part of this class we're going to touch today. So I'm going to come here and comment the pseudo elements, CSS pseudo elements. And the pseudo elements is pretty simple, okay? I'm just going to put the h1 tag here. I'm going to give it 1110. And I'm going to put another h1 tag. I'm going to give the h1 tag a class of big. 1110 as well. Okay, and this is how our two h1 tags is going to appear right here. So we're going to change the font size of this h1 tag. So let's go and target our h1 tags respectively. We're going to come here and say CSS pseudo elements. And let's go down to this place and give it what is called it again, the h1 tag. I'm going to give it width of only 30%. Okay, now let's make it 40%. There's a reason why I'm reducing the width. Then font size should be 72 pixels. Font family, you guys know these ones already. I'm going to use my favorite Tahoma. Font width, border, and color. Okay, let's leave the color as is black. Okay, color. Let's make it the dark brown we used before. Let me use hashtag 2C1107, which is the variation of brown. Let's see how it looks like. Okay, that's good enough for me. Oh, the second H1 tag did the same thing. That's not what we want. Let's make it 45%. So let's target the second H1 tag. I'm going to say big. I'm going to copy the exact same thing here and paste it, but it's going to be slightly different in the sense that the color will not be this, but hashtag CC5500. Boom. Alright, good. So you can see the two different H1 tags here. Let's not give it the width. Fuck width. Remove this. Oh, pardon my language. Sorry. Okay, so we have these two that are here. This is very okay. Now, the pseudo elements allows us, the CSS pseudo elements allows us to target specific parts of an element. Okay, that's what it simply does. The CSS pseudo elements allows us to target a specific part of an element. What does that mean? Let's talk about it now. If I come to this H1 tag here and I want to target only this first word here, this lorem, I don't want to target the rest of it. I don't want to change anything in the rest of them. I want to target only this first word called lorem. I'll come down here and say H1. I'll say what is called again, H1, then double column. Okay, when applying your CSS pseudo element, you make use of a double column. When applying a pseudo class, you make use of a single column. So that's the difference between the both of them. The single column means it's a pseudo class. The double column means it's a pseudo element. Okay, let's carry on. So with the H1 now, I will come and say first letter or first line or first word. Okay, let's say first letter. No, I want to target only this lorem ipsum. Sorry, this lorem. So let me come here and put a BL tag here in this HTML. Then I'll come back here and say first letter, first line. Then I'll say color of it should be hashtag CC5500. Let's use this color that is down here. Now let's make it lighter. Okay, that's better for me. And if you come back to your browser, only this lorem here will be a different color, even though they are all in the h1 tag. That's because this lorem is a specific part of the h1 tag. It is the first line that is there. And if you remember, I came back quickly to put a bl tag in between the lorem and the epsilon to make it so that this lorem will be the one on the first line. And remember that bl tag, once it does line break. It takes whatever comes after it down to the next line. Therefore, only this lorem is on the first line. And because it's the only this lorem is on the first line, I targeted that part of this element. Okay, I said, okay, let me target only the first line of this h1 element and give it this color. And since only this lorem text is on the first line of the h1 tag, what happens? Only the lorem became this color that is here. If I didn't do it like that, what happened? Watch what will happen now. Just watch. Let me remove this bl tag from here, so you guys will see the difference. Come here, and when it loads, look at what happens. It's not just the lorem in particular. It is the entire first line in the browser that became what? Brown. That became a different color. The second line is still retaining the dark brown color, but the entire first line became a different color. So that's how the pseudo element works. You can target specific parts of an element and give it any style you want. Okay, so now that we're done with this, let us touch the other pseudo elements here. So now I'll target this class of big, alright, and apply a pseudo element to it. I'll target the class of big and apply a pseudo element to it. Alright, so let's do that quickly. It shouldn't take us much time. Now I'm going to come here and say big, or let's still use the h1 for this. I'll say h1 column first letter. Let's target the first letter of the h1 tag and say color of the thing should be maybe blue, just something random. And if you come back here, only the L is now blue in both of them. Now, why is this L? Why is it also affecting this one? If you remember, even though it has a class of what? Big, it is still a H1 tag. That's why it's affecting it. So to cancel it out, I just need to use my own pseudo elements to cancel it out. That is all. It's nothing too serious. Let's not get too entangled over that. So, what is it called it again? Now let's apply other CSS pseudo elements to this our work. Okay, let's apply other pseudo elements to this our work. Now we can use the pseudo element of what? First line, or sorry, let me put a comment here. Sorry, I forgot. I forgot I didn't put a comment here. Come down here, put this, change this from first line to first letter. Element. Then we can give this our element another pseudo class. But I'm going to use this big. Let's see pseudo class and what classes, pseudo element and classes. So I'll say dot big column pseudo. I say pseudo class. I'll give it the pseudo class of selection. Now, what this pseudo class selection does, I'll show you guys when you guys see it, you'll love it, I'm sure. Let's say we'll make it so that the background color will be yellow and the color will be red. Now, what this pseudo element does is that this pseudo element of selection, what it does is when the user selects that element or highlights that element, it will what? Apply this color to it. What does that mean? Come here and check it out. If I say let me highlight this my second line of H1 tag, look at what will happen. Can you see it? As I'm highlighting it, it's giving it a color. The background is turning green, the text is turning what? Red, which is what I gave to it here. So that's the work of this pseudo class of what? Selection. I say pseudo class, sorry. Pseudo element of selection. Okay? It's making it so that when you are highlighting on the element or when you are selecting it, it becomes what? It changes its appearance. Or so that you know that this is what you're actually doing here. So you can set this up for all your text in your HTML tag. It's pretty okay. And last but not least, we can give it also another pseudo class of dot big after. Now, what this after pseudo element is used to do is that it's used to attach something extra to your element after the element has finished. Maybe you came here and be like, oh, this is my text here. I forgot. I did not give it this particular thing. I did not give it that thing. I didn't give this emoticon or something. you can easily just use this after pseudo element and just be like content. Okay, when you want to apply what you want to apply, you have to use the word content for it. So I'm going to say content, and I'm going to use an emoji for this. Let's see, laughing emoji. That's okay for me. And let's come back to the browser, and boom, can you see it here? Now I didn't type this in the original CSS file here, in the original HTML file here. Sorry, you can see in the big I didn't type that emoticon anywhere. However, simply by coming here and giving the class the pseudo element of after, I was able to apply this content to it. Now, when you use the pseudo class of after, if you want to apply anything to the element, you must use content. So this content will now help you attach whatever you want to attach to the element itself. So it's become part of the element. That's why the text is as big as this. The icon is as big as this. Sorry, the emoji is as big as this. Okay. And after alpha, the last one we have is what? The big column before. So in the before we say content. We can even apply a picture if we want, but I don't want to do something that will cause us stress right now. And the content, I'm going to say this is a text. No, that's too long. Let's enough. And let's use break. Yeah, let's use something like that. It's pointless. Pardon me. And now that I've done this, attach something to highlight this other set of text. Let's escape this. Let me reload. Look at, I can't highlight this break. Even though this break is part of the text, I can't highlight it. Why? Because of how we attached it. We attached it using the before pseudo elements, and this one was attached using the after pseudo elements. Therefore, it is not part of the original H1 element, so we can't highlight it. But that is all of pseudo elements that is here. So we've come to this. If you have any questions, don't forget you can ask in the comment section, or you can come to the group and ask your questions, and we'll definitely reply to you. Again, don't forget, this is Codebase. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And also remember, if you have any web development project, UI UX project, data analysis project that you have, you can call us and we can help you with it. Don't forget to contact us. Okay, I trust you all to have a good day. Thank you for watching.